before I get on out of here, I had to talk about a story that's very, very important. And albeit indirectly, it involves Caitlin Clark, the Department of Justice, and quite possibly the President of the United States himself.
What if the biggest fight in the WNBA isn't for a championship, but for its own soul? And what if Caitlin Clark is the prize? This isn't just about a rookie getting a rough welcome to the pros. We're watching a league at a breaking point, where cheap shots on the court have ignited a national firestorm that's pulling in top media personalities, politicians, and now is knocking on the door of the federal government. This has escalated beyond basketball, and it all started with a pattern of hits you have to see to believe.
But the one thing I will not do is take credit for this. I am looking at the Wall Street Journal. The author of the article is a guy by the name of Sean McLean. Let me read to y'all the opening couple of graphs, because I want you to hear the impact of this. This is serious. This is serious. And I could say it with my team here, having the footage and the receipts to back me up. I could be in that I told you so mode. I really, really could. But I ain't going to do that because I'm in a good mood. I'm going to be chill. But I could be saying I told you so. Because let me read this to you.
It all started with the hits. Not just hard fouls, but a clear and disturbing pattern of physical targeting. The moment that lit the fuse was Kennedy Carter's blindside body check, a blatant off-ball shove that sent Clark to the floor. It wasn't a basketball play, it was a cheap shot, and the on-court officials initially dismissed it as a common foul. But it didn't stop there. We saw Diamond DeShields lower her shoulder like a linebacker, and Marina Mabry shove Clark to the ground after a dead ball. These weren't isolated incidents. They were part of a troubling sequence of aggression that often came without a whistle or meaningful consequence. But as the hits got more blatant, the silence from the league's front office became even more deafening. As the hits piled up, the silence from the top became deafening. All eyes turned to WNBA Commissioner Cathy Engelbert, the person paid to protect the league's integrity and its players. While the WNBA was capitalizing on the Clark effect, moving games to bigger arenas and raising ticket prices, the league's front office seemed unwilling to protect its most valuable asset. When Engelbert finally broke her silence, her words only added fuel to the fire, downplaying the severity of the situation. This leadership vacuum didn't calm the storm, it created the space for it to become a hurricane. And when the league refused to act, it was only a matter of time before someone with real power decided to force their hand.
She joined the league last year. Ms. Clark's impact has been seismic. Merchandise sales soared 601%. Indiana Fever viewership jumped 170%. The team's value tripled. League Pass subscriptions climbed 366%. App engagement rose 613%, and her endorsements topped $11 million.
The controversy soon escaped the world of sports talk and landed squarely in the political arena. Indiana Congressman Jim Banks had seen enough. He sent a formal letter to Commissioner Engelbert demanding to know what the league intended to do about the, quote, excessive physical targeting of specific players, explicitly naming Caitlin Clark. This was no longer just a fan complaint, it was an official inquiry from a federal lawmaker. The WNBA's problem had just escalated from a PR issue to a matter of congressional interest. But a letter from Congress was just the first shot. What came next would reframe the entire controversy from hard fouls to a potential federal crime.
Instead of protecting its transformative star, the league's leadership ignores the relentless targeting of Ms. Clark, treating its greatest asset as if she were a PR headache. That approach could turn into a legal liability for the WNBA.
Just when it seemed the situation couldn't get more serious, a bombshell op-ed in the Wall Street Journal redefined the entire debate. Titled, "The WNBA and Caitlin Clark's Civil Rights," the article, written by a former White House counsel, made a shocking legal argument. The pattern of abuse against Clark, combined with the league's inaction, could legally constitute a hostile workplace environment. This wasn't about basketball anymore. It was about federal law. The piece sent shockwaves through the media, transforming the narrative from one of hard fouls to one of potential civil rights violations. And this wasn't just a legal theory anymore. It was about to become the biggest talking point in the country, thanks to the media's most powerful voices.
Sophie Cunningham told the Wall Street Journal she's Caitlin Clark's teammate, the Indiana Fever. The star player of the league is not being protected. Rebecca Lobo, analyst, ESPN. What does she say? Every single one of those plays against Caitlin Clark has been a foul. Dick Vitale, winning 1.29 million All-Star votes, came in for Caitlin Clark, yet she was ranked 9th among guards on a player ballot. Quote, absolutely pure jealousy that the WNBA players voted Caitlin Clark the 9th best guard. Someday they will realize what she has done for all of the players in the WNBA. Chartered planes, increase in salaries, sold out crowds, improved TV ratings, etc. And they ain't lying.
With the door to federal intervention now wide open, the media's most powerful voices pounced. Stephen A. Smith took to the airwaves, declaring that the government might have a case for a federal probe. He didn't stop there. Smith warned that a political figure like Donald Trump could seize on the issue, using the victimhood on the part of Caitlin Clark to rally his base and turn a sports controversy into a full-blown political weapon. Smith's commentary cemented the story's status as a national talking point, far beyond the confines of the sports world. But to understand why this was happening, you have to look past the headlines and into the locker room, where a toxic culture may have been brewing for years. Beneath the surface of the on-court hits and political maneuvering lies a deeper issue: the WNBA's locker room culture. The targeting of Clark wasn't just random, it was discussed. Clark's own teammate, Sophie Cunningham, admitted that when she was with the Phoenix Mercury, there were locker room talks about how they were, quote, going to show her what the W really is. This echoes explosive claims made years earlier by former WNBA player Candace Wiggins, who stated she was bullied out of the league for being heterosexual in what she described as a very, very harmful and toxic culture. Her allegations paint a picture of a league that has a history of targeting players who are different, providing a chilling context to what Caitlin Clark is experiencing today. And this toxic culture wasn't just creating bad blood, it was opening the league up to two unseen threats that could cripple it financially. Beyond the headlines, two critical factors are quietly raising the stakes: sports betting and legal liability. With millions of dollars now being wagered on WNBA games, the integrity of the officiating is under a microscope. When referees consistently fail to call obvious non-basketball fouls against the league's most watched player, it starts to look suspicious. Furthermore, every uncalled foul and blatant shove caught on camera isn't just a bad look for the WNBA, it's potential legal evidence. The mountain of video footage documenting the targeting of Clark could become the cornerstone of a massive lawsuit, creating a financial and legal nightmare for the league. With all these forces converging, the league had been pushed to a point of no return. What began as on-court aggression has spiraled into a full-blown crisis that now involves Congress, civil rights law, and the specter of a federal investigation. This is no longer about basketball, it's about a league that appears to have lost control of its own narrative, and possibly its own future. The WNBA was handed a once-in-a-generation talent, and instead of protecting her, it allowed her to become a symbol of a deep-seated cultural conflict. The league now finds itself at a crossroads. Is the WNBA on the brink of a revolution spurred by its newfound popularity, or is it facing a self-inflicted collapse? The next move belongs to the commissioner, but the whole world is now watching to see if the league has waited too long to make it.